That was fun. Good evening, everyone. My name is Piriya Sambandaraksa. And are you hungry? I'm just asking because I'm famished right now. Right, so today, this evening, we have heard from so many people, so many stories about how Bitcoin has affected their lives, how they've been working to educate people to build on Bitcoin, to help make Bitcoin a reality. My daughter used to ask me, she just asked me last night, Dad, do you ever talk about anything other than inflation? It seems you're always on about how inflation is ruining things. So today I'm not going to be talking about inflation. I will try to not talk about inflation. Yeah. It's the 31st of October, Halloween, and it's also the Bitcoin Whitepaper Day. This marks the 17th anniversary, the 17th birthday of the Bitcoin Whitepaper, right? It hasn't really struck me that it's the same day as the Halloween's Day. This has been going on for every year because I don't really do all the dress ups and stuff. I was just walking here and people were all dressing up as ghosts, and I was wondering what is happening. And then I thought to myself, and this is really not in the slides. I just thought to myself, why did Satoshi release Bitcoin today, 17 years ago? And one of the parallels that is, it might be a coincidence, but it's interesting nonetheless, is that, in 1517, this is the day Martin Luther nailed his 95 theses to the door of the Wittenberg Castle Church. That was the day that the revolution to separate church from the state began. That was the day that people began to question the church's authority on their sins and on their lives and on their soul. Why does church and state have the right to control which sins get forgiven, which lives get to go to heaven, and which souls get to go to hell? It sounds dramatic, right? He was nailing a bunch of paper to a church door. Why would anyone in their right mind do that? So look it up a bit more just now on this seat. And it turns out that that's actually a normal thing to do back then. People nail things to the church door all the time. And why? That's actually like a bulletin board. It's how people post their academic papers. And that really hits me. Bitcoin white paper is an academic paper. It just raises questions. It solves a very, it actually solves a very niche, very minute problem of double spending. That enables a network of, uncensorable, uncontrollable, open money that anyone can use, online, digital. It unlocks a floodgates of innovation and change. So that's nice, right? And it takes 38 years for people to recognize that back in 1517. It takes exactly 131 years for the nation state to come about. Satoshi, whoever he is, I think this is a nice coincidence because the supply schedule of Bitcoin is scheduled to last exactly 131 years. Right? So that's for the parallels. This is a battle. This is a battle of something between, something against something. To quote from Pichit, which he doesn't say the word, but ความจริงแม่งช้า I try to formalize it a bit. ความจริงมันช้า. The truth is slow. Why does Bitcoin take 131 years to mint, to finish its initial distribution? I think this is one of the hints that Satoshi gave us, that this is a long game. This is not something that can be won overnight. This is not something that we can just wake up to a world that people are using Bitcoin, to a Bitcoin standard, that you would read a book, the Bitcoin standard, and think like the world has changed. It's not. It's only been 17 years. Bitcoin's still in its infancy. It's promised us a lot, right? It promised us that we can have money that is free from control. But it's not going to be something that we can just sit and wait. Even the truth is slow. We can't just wait for it to come. Right? Money changes society, right? Innovation from before 1971 is about changing how we live, improving our lives. But afterward, everything turns into surveillance, technology, control. The same thing has happened in parallel with a lot of things recently. We have the internet, which also promises freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of communication. But after the boom and bust in the year 2000, what we have after all that fact, is the internet that has turned into a mass surveillance system for a system of control. Bitcoin has promised us freedom. But that freedom is not going to come if we don't work on it, if we don't start building that freedom ourselves. I believe that everything starts with the individual. You start learning about Bitcoin, that changes you, right? You start becoming more secure. You start building your future. You start using Bitcoin to save, to build businesses, to spend, to calculate all the economic calculations in your lives. And that would change you from within. But the opponent is not going to be, staying still. Government will try to crack down on Bitcoin. It's dirty money, it's money laundering. They have to try to, they will try, and they have tried, they will try, and they will be trying to impose more control, more censorship. You can use Bitcoin, but this Bitcoin has to be, minted and mined in Thailand. It can't go anywhere else, and that doesn't really make sense. You have all the taxation rules that doesn't make sense, that just prevents people from using Bitcoin. You have all these regulations that will try to stifle the growth, that will try to stop you from being free from that system. So what do we do against this control? We can try to run our own. I ask myself this all the time. I'm not a programmer. I'm not an IT guy. I don't know how to code. I don't know how to contribute to Bitcoin. But there's always something that you can do, that I can do. Run your own node. We can fight back all the obstructions, all the censorship, by just taking Bitcoin to self-custody. Don't leave it with a middleman where you can get censored, where you can get confiscated. We have to fight back against regulation. Don't let them write the rules. Right? Write the rule yourself. Start using Bitcoin peer-to-peer. Even better, help them. Help the enemy try to integrate Bitcoin in a way that would benefit all of us. I think it would be dangerous if we don't do anything. I'm not saying that we should save Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't really need saving. But I'm saying that the enemy is not stopping, and that it is our responsibility to be vigilant, to verify, and to protect our own sovereignty. The truth may be slow, but we can't wait. In the end, everything falls to us because, as Jimmy is going to be speaking next, if not us, then who? Thank you.